Okay, sorry, that wasn't great. Let me try that again. Okay, there we go. All right. Good evening, everyone. I call the February 10th, 2026 regularly scheduled board meeting of the Richland 2 Board of Trustees to order. Sorry, I have my little notes here. Okay. Okay, here we go. And I want to begin with a quote from the great Black American scientist, educator, and innovator, George Washington Carver, who once said, "Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom." And I love this quote. It is a reminder that every decision we make in this room helps open doors for opportunity, for growth, and for the future of every student we serve. In education, we deeply believe that potential is limitless and that with the support, perseverance, and purpose of students, our students can achieve anything that they set their minds to. Tonight, we look forward to conducting the important business of the district and working together to ensure we remain a stellar school district committed to excellence in education. We appreciate your presence both in person and online and your participation, and we thank you for joining us this evening. If you would now join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, also before we begin, Ms. Washington will not be with us tonight. She had a family emergency, and so our hearts and thoughts are with her. All right, okay. Let's see here. Yes, item 3.1. The agenda for tonight's meeting has been published and made available to the public. May I please have a motion regarding the approval of the agenda?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Trapp,
I move to approve the agenda for the February 10th, 2026 regular board meeting.
is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made by Mr. Trapp and seconded by Mr. Dennis to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Okay, Mr. Trapp, once that is on the screen, if you will just let us know if that is correct. All right, board members, please vote. The vote is 6 yes, 1 not present. The motion passes. Moving on to item 4.1, executive session. May I please have a motion to go into executive session?
Madam Chair,
Dr. Elkin Scott?
I move to convene an executive session for the purpose of discussing student appeals, student admission requests into the district's adult education program, employment recommendations and certified releases, legal advice regarding employment contracts, an update from the Safety and Security Committee, and a personnel matter regarding the superintendent's evaluation goals.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Dr. Elkin Scott and seconded by Ms. Williams to go into executive session. Is there any discussion? Okay, if there is no discussion, once that appears on the screen, Dr. Elkin Scott, if you will let us know if all of that is correct.
That's correct.
Okay, board members, please vote. Okay, 6 yes. The vote is 6 yes and 1 not present. The motion passes. The board will now enter into executive session. May I have a motion to end executive session?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Trapp,
I move that we adjourn executive session at 6:29 and resume public session.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Mr. Trapp and seconded by Mr. Dennis to end the executive session at 6:29 and resume public session. Is there any discussion? Okay, there being no discussion, as soon as that's on the screen, if it is correct, just let us know. Well, while we're waiting for that, I just want to let everybody know that Ms. Washington is not, unfortunately, able to be with us tonight. She had a family emergency, so she's in our thoughts. Okay. Just, you guys, we were having a little bit of problem with our system, so if you guys will just bear with us tonight, it's kind of going up and down. Okay, can we all do a hand vote? If you'll raise your right hand, if you are full, oh, there it is, just in time.
And it is correct.
Okay, all right, board members, please vote. It came up test for the, so that's good, yeah. Okay, the vote is 6 yes and 1 not present. The motion passes. We will now move on to the inspirational moment. Dr. Elkin Scott will introduce this evening's guest to the board.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Tonight's inspirational moment is given by Dr. Teresa Riley. Dr. Teresa Riley serves as Richland's Director of Marketing. A 25-year veteran of the district, she provides leadership and collaboration with a team of dynamic professionals. With a background in broadcasting, Dr. Riley previously served as Public Information Officer and launched the district's first public affairs show, Ariston, a Greek term meaning the best of the best. She also developed the Quiz Whiz middle school academic tournament to promote academic excellence, student engagement, and content for R2 TV. Dr. Riley currently leads the district's centennial celebration commemorating 100 years of learning, leadership, and legacy. I turn it over to Dr. Teresa Riley.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, my Marigold Superintendent, Dr. Moore, and the Richland 2 community. A special thank you to you, Dr. Elkin Scott, for the invitation, and to my best of the best, Ariston, Senior Chief Darcy Rush. What a privilege it is to be a part of Richland 2's Centennial celebration. Our Centennial Committee and Communications team have been enjoying looking through the archives and appreciating how far we've come and where we're headed. We officially kicked off this milestone last month with the opening of the Richland 2 Historical Museum inside the Little Red Schoolhouse that's located at Killian Elementary School. It is a true testament, I believe, to Richland 2 excellence. Thank you to everyone who has visited and to those who will visit soon. As we celebrate the centennial, we honor 100 years of learning, leadership, and legacy. And I will note that as we dig through a century of data, that history isn't always in a straight line. So when you see and hear things like, as we remember it and as told by, that's what it is. Our goal is to capture, document, preserve, and celebrate Richland 2's legacy so that future generations will look on it with pride. With that, here's a quick look back at our kickoff, a preview of what's ahead, and some inspiring words from those who have lived, shaped, and continue to carry the Richland 2 legacy forward.
I've wiped their noses and dried their tears. I've held their hands and calmed their fears. I watched them play and stopped their fights and worried about them on sleepless nights. But when I close my door and turn in my key, school will be out at last for me.
We walked to school. We didn't have buses then, and they didn't have bells to ring like they have in schools now. Miss Hanbury would get on the porch, and she would ring a bell with her hand. And I remember Mama would tell us, "Y'all better get out of here. I hear Miss Hanbury ringing that bell." And of course, we lived right across the road from the school.
The centennial gives us a wonderful opportunity to celebrate the achievements of the past and at the same time to inspire us to have even greater success in the next 100 years than we had in the first.
I hope that 100 years from now, kids in Richland 2 are still making best friends on the playground. I hope they still get excited for field day. And I hope they still feel like their school is a place where they can be themselves.
Happy Centennial, Richland 2. Let's celebrate.
One, thank you, Dr. Scott, for inviting her. And Dr. Riley, thank you for that presentation. That was absolutely amazing. I was just telling Dr. Scott, you might have to put that on a hard drive and put it in a time capsule. But she says nobody knows where their school time capsules are. So we got to make sure there's a map included in that. All right. So now we will move on to item 6.1, the consent agenda. May I please have a motion regarding the approval of the consent agenda?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Porter.
I move to approve the consent agenda for February 10th, 2026, regular board meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Ms. Porter and seconded by Mr. Dennis to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Okay, there being no discussion, we will just wait for that to be on the screen patiently. We're going to wait patiently. Or do we need to hand vote? Okay. Should we hand vote? Okay, all right, we got the nod to hand vote. Okay, so all those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, okay, and those opposed, even though there's nobody. Okay, all right, so the vote is 6 yes and 1 not present. The motion passes. Okay, we will now move on to, let's see. Oh, public participation. Okay, we will now move on to public participation, item 7.1. We have, I think, one person signed up to address the board, and so you will be given 3 minutes to address the board. To assist with the timing, the lights on the table in front of you or in front of us will change colors from green to yellow to red. And then when you have 30 seconds remaining, the light will turn yellow. When your time is up, the light will turn red, and you will hear an audible tone indicating your time to speak has expired. Before we begin, I will remind you that our meetings are streamed live and recorded. According to policy BEDH, comments from the public should not include gossip, defamatory words, or abusive and vulgar language. The policy also prohibits in public session any expression of personal complaints about individual school personnel or any other person connected with the school system. Specific student or personnel issues should be handled through the appropriate procedures as indicated in the district policy. Okay, first up, or first and only, we have Ever Collier.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ever Collier. I am a resident of Richland County, a family nurse practitioner practicing here in Richland County, and I'm also the Chief Nursing Officer at Cooperative Health, a community health center that serves the Midlands of South Carolina and is rooted here as well in Richland County. Tonight, however, I come to you before you not as in a professional capacity, but as a parent. I am the parent of a 4th grader and a kindergartner, both of whom are athletes and proud participants of the Team Blaze Track Club. My son has been involved with this organization for nearly 5 years. Over that time, my husband and I have witnessed tremendous growth in him, not only as an athlete, but far more importantly as a young man. Through Team Blaze, he is learning discipline, perseverance, mental toughness, and accountability. He is guided by coaches who serve as positive mentors and role models. His participation provides him with consistent, routine physical activity in a safe and structured environment, supporting both his physical health and his overall well-being. I stand before you this evening to express concern regarding the challenges that Team Blaze has faced when attempting to utilize district facilities for our children to practice and train. I have spoken with our club's leadership and reviewed the district's publicly available policies regarding community use of school facilities, specifically tracks and fields. I fully recognize that there is a cost to operating and maintaining these facilities. However, my hope is that we can ensure that community-based nonprofit youth organizations are not priced out of access to facilities that exist within the very communities that we serve. We are not asking for a handout. We are asking for a partnership, one that is mutually beneficial for the district as well as the children we serve. In reviewing Policy KF, Community Use of School Facilities, I noted language stating that fees may be waived or reduced for nonprofit organizations or for organizations whose primary purpose benefits Richland School District 2 students. Further, the policy explicitly references community and nonprofit groups that serve students within the district. My request of you this evening is simple but meaningful. That the board work with the district's executive leadership to provide clarity and consistency in how these policy provisions are interpreted and applied. Clear guidance would help organizations like Team Blaze and the families they support collaborate more effectively with the district to secure safe and well-managed facilities funded by taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will now go on to our item 8.0, which is voting on items discussed in executive session. Okay, first up, we have item 8.1. May I please have a motion regarding student appeals?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Dennis?
I move to deny the student appeals for student number 1 and number 2.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Mr. Dennis and seconded by Ms. Porter. Is there any discussion? Okay, there being no discussion, do we need a hand vote or are we gonna wait and see? Okay. Okay, board members, please vote. All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, the vote is 6 yes, 1 not present. The motion passes. Moving on to item 8.2, student admission request into the district's adult education program. May I please have a motion on the student request into the district's adult education program?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Williams?
I move to approve the student admissions request into the district's adult education program for students numbers 1 through 4.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, that motion has been made by Ms. Williams and seconded by Mr. Dennis. Is there any discussion? Okay, there being no discussion, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, the motion is 6, 1 not present. 6 yes, 1 not present. The motion passes. Also, is there somebody who could turn that mic off up there? Okay, we're going to move on to item 8.3. May I please have a motion regarding employment recommendations and certified releases?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Porter?
I move to approve the employment recommendations and certified releases as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Ms. Porter and seconded by Mr. Dennis. Is there any discussion? Okay, there being no discussion, board members, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Oops. Okay, the motion is 6 yes, 1 not present. The motion passes. Okay, and we had no as-needed items. Okay, we will now move on to item 9.1. This agenda item in this section is the policy revision proposal on policy BE board meetings, and I was going to yield that to Ms. Washington, but in her stead, on behalf of her, because they've done a lot of work on this, I'm going to be her for the moment. Okay, at our January 27th regular meeting, the board had a conversation about policy BE board meetings, specifically the conversation centered around the idea of us restructuring our monthly meetings in collaboration with district administration. A draft revision to the policy BE was developed. Dr. Marshall Franklin and our deputy superintendent will present the draft revision. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, members of the board, District Administration presents a proposed policy revision to policy BE that we believe captures the intent of what the board desires to achieve. If you'll recall, based on your conversation at the previous board meeting and through feedback we received from board members, there were 4 things you were wanting to accomplish. One of them is to distinguish a regular board meeting from other meetings by definition. Number 2, to have 1 formal business meeting per month. Number 3, to have 1 informal meeting per month. And number 4, to have the flexibility to take action on an item at that informal board meeting if needed. And so I'll walk through the sections of the policy at which we recommend changes. The first one will be in the section labeled regular board meetings. And it will read, if approved, the board will hold its regular meeting on the 2nd Tuesday of each month. The regular meeting is a formal business meeting during which the board carries out its responsibilities as the governing body of the district, including taking formal action. And so that just gives a definition of what a regular board meeting would consist of. So it will include things like approving policies, approving the budget, and any formal request or action on any formal request like the school year calendar. The next section would be labeled work session meetings. The board will hold a work session meeting on the 4th Tuesday of each month and at other times as necessary. So that last little clause, at other times as when necessary, gives you the flexibility of doing other work session meetings outside of the 4th meeting of the month. So for example, when you have your retreat, it will be considered a work session meeting. If there's a single topic workshop like budget or academic data that you would want to have, you could still have those work session meetings in addition to the standard work session meeting on the 4th Tuesday of the month. I'll continue. A work session meeting provides the board with the opportunity for open discussion, information gathering, and planning in a collaborative setting. Topics for discussion will be announced publicly and sessions will be conducted in accordance with state law. So based on what I've shared so far, that gives the structure of the 2 meetings. The first meeting of the month, a regular business meeting, and the second meeting of the month, a work session meeting. And then there's an additional paragraph that we recommend inserting. At a work session meeting, the board may convene an executive session and take formal action on matters discussed during that session. So for example, the agenda for a work session meeting can have an executive session, and when you come back in public session, you can take action on matters discussed in executive session. Normally, no other formal action will be taken during a work session meeting. However, the board may take action when circumstances warrant, and doing so is in the best interest of the district, provided that the matter has been properly noticed in accordance with applicable open meeting requirements. So this gives the board the flexibility during a work session meeting, if a need arises that's urgent in nature or where timing is of the essence, for you to take formal action on an agenda item. So for example, if you had your regular meeting on the 2nd Tuesday, you were supposed to take action, but you needed more information from administration. Administration could come to the work session meeting, give you that additional information, and you could then take action on it in the work session meeting. Matthew, will you pull up this supplementary document? There you go. So this is just a table that gives an example of content that could possibly be on the agendas for the regular board meeting versus the work session meeting. The regular board meeting is our standard meeting, what we're doing tonight. And then the work session meeting would be more informal in nature, where we'll have the call to order, approval of the agenda, an executive session if you need one, the consent agenda, because that allows you to approve the minutes and other items from the previous meeting. Then you will vote on executive session items, and then the next section will be the meat of the meeting, where you would have planning and discussion of whatever topics the board chooses, followed by adjournment. Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation of the proposed policy revisions to policy BE. I welcome your questions.
Okay, does anybody have feedback and, anything they want to add? Ms. Porter?
So, in the work sessions meeting section, the second paragraph, that normally no other formal action would be taken. I'm not sure if we necessarily need that. If you cross the normally sentence out and however, and just say the board may take action versus giving the background or telling people what the normally would be, because after years go by, it may not be, it just doesn't, sounds like extra information.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Anybody else have any more feedback or thoughts? Mr. Trapp?
I have one concern. It's probably nothing to be concerned about, but on both the regular board meeting, oh, by the way, I like this. I actually have looked it over, and the language is very specific at the right times and everything. However, it says the board will hold its regular meeting on the second Tuesday of each month, and then in the next paragraph, the board will hold a work session meeting on the fourth Tuesday of each month. My only concern there is the word will hold. There are at least a couple months in the year that we don't have but one meeting in the year. Would it be wise to put something in there regularly or normally, or you know, something that would give us the flexibility to not do that without? I mean, technically, if we don't have a meeting, we violate our own policy.
Gotcha. Okay. I think we typically cover that because the board approves a calendar of its meetings, but I do understand the
Could we say
need to
May?
explicitly say that in the policy.
You said May, Dr. Elkins Scott. Could we say May?
I think you have to definitively say when you're going to have your meeting, so we can go back and add some clarity to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Madam Chair?
Oh, yeah. Mr. Trapp? I mean, sorry, Mr. Dennis. Long day.
My only, I love this, I love how we're doing this. My only concern, though, is the regular meeting versus the work session. I know how we got it laid out in there, but I was really looking at the law late over the weekend, and it's talking about certain formal actions that we do. Are we sure that we can take formal, if we push it from the other regular meeting to that work session, we are 100% sure for law that we can do that? Because I would hate for us to do this, make a motion, and then somebody bring it up in court. I just want to make sure that we have clarity on that.
They did extensive work around this.
Okay.
Extensive.
I couldn't sleep. I did a lot of reading, so I probably read too deep into it.
Yes, sir. So long as we give notice.
Yeah, it's the notice
of
portion.
the meeting, we're in compliance with the law.
Right. Okay. All right. Oh, okay, Mr. Trapp, sorry.
No, in relation to what Mr. Dennis just asked, I was speaking to Ms. Washington this week, and I had a similar question, and she told me that the only thing in the law that relates to our meetings is that we have to have at least one meeting a month. So that was the only thing that the law specified on that, according to Ms. Washington.
Thank you so much, and great work, you guys. Okay. All right. We'll move on now to item 9.2, the Strategic Resource Alignment Update. This agenda item is, Dr. Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board and members of our Richland 2 family, tonight we're going to be providing another update to our strategic plan, which is purpose-driven and future-ready. It calls on us to ensure that every student in Richland 2 has access to excellent teaching, strong support, and equitable opportunities, no matter which school they attend. Now, over this past year, we have been engaged in a strategic resource alignment initiative. And the purpose of this is to ensure our people, positions, and dollars are working directly in support of those goals. Tonight's update focuses on a critical part of our work, our school staffing model for 2026-2027 school year. Now, board, as you are aware, we are facing challenging enrollment patterns, including the impact of new charter schools and significant pressure on our general fund operating budget. At the same time, students' needs have become more complex, and we remain committed to maintaining high expectations and strong support in every classroom. So the model that you will see tonight is about consistency, transparency, and sustainability. It is designed so that similar schools receive similar staffing, and schools with higher needs receive additional support so that staffing follows student needs, not history. I'm so proud of our team because they've been working very, very, very hard, and they have engaged our principals as well as other district leaders. They've studied trends and best practices and tested the model through simulations. Now, we know that this work affects our staff and our families, and we are committed to clear communication and thoughtful implementation. And at this time, I would like to turn this over to Dr. Foster, our Senior Chief of Human Resources, and he will walk you through an update on the Strategic Resource Alignment Initiative. Dr. Foster.
All right, thank you, Dr. Moore. Good evening, Madam Chair and fellow board members. Tonight, I am here to give you another update on our Strategic Resource Alignment initiative that we have going on here in the district. I would like to say thank you to several of my team members who are here tonight that are deeply engaged in this work or will be engaged in this work if they haven't really been engaged in it yet as we're continuing to move forward as preparing for the 26-27 school year. And I will be dangerous because I have this and I don't know how to really use it, but we'll make it through. All right, so tonight's focus is basically three things. We want to talk about why did we have to approach changes to our current staffing model. We want to share with you the staffing model and how it aligns with staffing for student needs. And then we want to talk about what this means for our schools, our students, and our staff for 2026. As you're all aware, this is our busy time of the year as we are working closely with planning for enrollment projections as well as with business services on the budget. And so this is very important work that we are engaging in. So current inconsistencies that we've shared with you before, but I just want to make sure that we just highlight them again for our public as well. Our current staffing guidelines have not been revised in the last 10 years plus. That's kind of where we are right now. And we're seeing that similar schools have vastly different staffing. And that means that because of the way that we've handled things before, if a school did not need we allocated a school, I'm gonna say 5 fifth grade teachers. They didn't need 5 fifth grade teachers that year. They used the teacher in another means at the school because we never pulled the teacher back from the school. They were able to use it for another reading interventionist at the school if they needed that support. So it is very different at each school as we discovered throughout this process. And then ratios vary by school, not by student needs. So you may look at some schools that have more people in the office than other schools, and the schools may be similar in size. And our goal and work through this is to try to shore that up so that everybody has a consistent staffing and addressing things based on student population as well as poverty levels. And then identical positions in the district are assigned different numbers of days. That was noted, particularly one position that I talk about a lot is the fee clerk. That fee clerk had a same position at 5 high schools, but it had different numbers of days, 185 at one, 195 at another, 205, 215. So our goal is to try to clean that up so that we can make sure that all of the inconsistencies that we are observing in our current staffing will be clear as we move forward. So our staffing model, just some things to take into consideration as we get ready to look at our current draft staffing model, is current baseline formulas for elementary, middle, and high are presented. Ratios are adjusted by enrollment, poverty levels, as well as so higher poverty schools receive additional support. Key support positions are allocated using clear thresholds now and not arbitrary things that we say, I need a guidance counselor, or we say that we base it on thresholds. And so now I'll just share with you the staffing model so that you can have that we can share it with the public as to where we are now, and I can point out some of the things that you will see that are different. Matthew, can you click that for us? Because it's a different document. Okay, and can you just scroll down, Matthew? So we're going to look at elementary really quick. You see the top of it, it shares with you the student-teacher ratios that we've already talked about and shared that with you at our previous board retreats as well as our previous meetings. And as meeting last meeting as well. And then you'll see that this is positions, and please note, currently all we're projecting and sharing with you is for the general education side of things. Special education, we're working with them on another staffing model that we are working through. So this will be just for general education and the overall operation of the building. So elementary schools, of course, you got to have a principal, so you have one principal. We currently have 2 assistant principals. That stays the same at the schools. One of the changes that you'll probably see throughout this process is the academic interventionists. They were called previously RTI program specialists, intervention specialists, various titles, but we're shearing that up to make it academic interventionists, and we are allocating those based on the same poverty indexes that we use for the student-teacher ratios. And so you'll see that a school that has higher poverty will have 2 interventionists at their school, and a school with lower or significant poverty would have 1. We're maintaining the physical education teacher at 1.5 for schools that are less than 700. And if you have a population greater than 700, you would have 2. And that's pretty consistent with what we currently have at our schools. Scrolling down some more, Matthew, elementary also will have academic intervention assistants. They are allocated, again, using the poverty levels. And one of the things that we noticed there is that several schools were using different funding sources, like at-risk that we call, which we were utilizing at-risk funds for various things. So we had different levels of academic intervention assistance at schools. So we are shearing that up so that we would have 1 at lower poverty schools. Significant poverty would be 2, and higher poverty would be 2 as well. One of the positions that the principals asked for was the support assistant. That is a position that we are allocating schools that will be able to be supportive of 3 ways. It can be supportive in office support if it's needed on a particular day when they have a large number of visitors coming, behavior support, as well as instructional support based on the needs that this principal identifies at the school. So that is trying to address 3 areas of concern that principals had with that 1 position based on the school size. The instructional facilitator is to ensure that we have instructional related art programs that will give all of our teachers able to have their break doing related arts. And so that is additional, not really additional, most schools had one, but it is going to allow schools that did not have one to have an instructional facilitator to be able to help fill in that gap with the related arts. And then, just so you'll know, the media technology assistant will be a reclass position from the media assistant, and that is to fill in that, try to fill in that gap from the transition of the TLCs. So that's the elementary. And just these the notes that I want to just go over really quick. Allocations may vary based on magnet program offerings or instructional needs. HR is staffing in accordance with the staffing model. And any deviations from the staffing model are going through the budget process that principals have to fill out, and that is going through a review process that is handled by the leadership team through a process that Dr. Franklin is working to organize. Enrollment projections and the pupil and poverty indexes are based on the 90th day of enrollment. So these are based on 90th day enrollment, and that's where we are basing budget on staffing and to generate budget as well. And then some of the positions where we have for example, office assistant, various things, that does include the child development students. So that includes that. The centers, we wanted to make sure that the centers had a lot of more consistency than they had across the board. So we started that process, and so one of the things that you'll see with the centers that I want to just bring to your attention is the fine arts, because they did not have fine arts teachers consistently at the centers, particularly CFA, and CFI did not have a good allocation of fine arts teachers and physical education teachers. So we are adding there a 0.4 at CFA to cover their student population, and a 0.6 at CFI, so that CFA does not have to go to the Lake Carolina campuses to receive related arts. They'll have that at their site, which that is an additional plus there. And then pretty much all of the other things align with the elementary. Middle, very quickly. Middle, you'll see that we have a principal, 3 assistant principals as we currently have. We did put another level of administrative support in place if needed at the schools, where if their school reached above 1,000 or above 850 with a poverty level of 75% or higher, that they would get an administrative assistant, and we currently don't have any that are at that level maybe one, but that's maybe EL right, but we have not finalized their enrollment projections. We still maintain our guidance, school counseling coverage at 1 to 300. That's inclusive of the director of school counseling. We do have academic intervention assistants there, same as the level that we put at the elementary schools, because that is an area that was noted as needed for the schools. And then the rest of the staff that we're shoring up that I want to just point out is the administrative monitor. All schools did not have an administrative monitor, but in this model, we do allocate an administrative monitor at each school. And they will also have the reclassified position of media technology assistant at their school as well. And then finally, the high school. Thankful to the high school principals, and really, Dr. Smith really helped with us getting to some clarity with high school, so I want to thank him. So high school is a lot of staff members at our high schools that are needed there for our students. But one of the things that you'll see with the high schools is that they have still maintaining the principal and assistant principal. Assistant principals are allocated based on, if you have less than 1,000 students, you have two. Between 1,000 and 600, you have 3, and 1,600 and 2,200, you would have 4. And that would be, of course, Spring Valley and Blythewood currently would have that. And then administrative monitors are allocated using that same formula, just at a decrease. Assistant administrators are allocated at that same number, just at a decreased number. So that is the administrative staff. Counseling staff is still allocated at the same level, 1 to 300. We did pull out the AVID teachers, because that AVID is a district initiative, so you'll see an AVID teacher at middle and high. And then one area that we really worked to clean up was the administrative support at the high school. Administrative support at high school is, it was all different, and you saw that when I shared the example about the fee clerk. But we will have a large number of administrative support there at the school. They'll have 10 people at the smaller high schools, or small to mid high schools, and then the larger high schools will have 13 people in there to help with them. That would be Blythewood and Spring Valley. And then, of course, we're maintaining the athletic trainer, assistant athletic trainer. The monitors, administrative monitors, are allocated on a schedule as well. 2 at the smaller schools and 3 at the larger schools. And then you'll see the rest of the staff that they have. Which one that we're really working to clean up at each school, high school, is the instructional facilitator, which is there for virtual learning. So that's the staffing model that we put in place for our general education, general operation of schools. We're still working with special education on theirs. And Matthew, if we can go back to the presentation, I'll finish that up very quickly. How the staffing model addresses the inconsistency. It applies a common student-teacher ratios, so similar schools generate similar teacher allocations, clear enrollment thresholds for school counselors and other support roles, provides additional support for higher poverty schools through defined formulas now, standardized workdays for identical positions where appropriate across schools, and aligns staffing with enrollment and student needs is our goals that we try to accomplish with the inconsistencies in this model. I just want to go to Brilliant Elementary really quick. As you recall from Brilliant Elementary, we were looking at enrollment for this year, enrollment for next year based on the staffing model. And so we're going to have a net reduction of 6 teachers there. So what we're doing in HR, just so that we can make sure that we are able to put all of this information into one clean, concise document, that we definitely thank you for one of our fellow districts sharing this with us so we could adopt it for our school district. And so what we're doing here is we currently are working with business services to ensure that position control is set up so that we can track all of the changes that we're making. But until we get that set up, we're managing everything on a staffing modeling sheet that we have in place. And this simulation is modeling how the impact of each staffing is based on the projections and the poverty levels. And this tool will help principals, it'll help district leaders to make sure that we're planning appropriately. So I'm just going to show you that really quick. Matthew, if you don't mind going back to that. And this is the guideline that my team is working on as we meet with principals to ensure that it follows the staffing model that we put in place for 26-27. And it's probably a little challenging to read, but you'll see that on this staffing model, it has all of the positions. So principal, it has all the way down to first grade, second grade teachers, art teachers, music teachers, and it has the formula or the allocation that we're using. You'll stop right there, Matthew. You'll see ML teachers are based on a formula calculation that we will get from academics, as well as gifted and talented teachers will be based on a formula calculation, but it has all of the positions there. So if we go and look at their third, fourth, and fifth grade, you'll see that they had 5 teachers. They had 6 teachers. They have 5 this year, so they have a reduction of 1 teacher at that school. So we're able to track that in our staffing sheet until we get the position control set up correctly in the district. And you'll see that that's for every position. They do have 2 counselors at the school at Brilliant Elementary this year. They will have 1 next year because of the staffing model. That would be an implementation of 1. And then you can see going on down, you'll see all of the positions are there. And any positions that are a deviation from it would be under, can you scroll down one more, Matthew? Would be under this section right here where we said additional staffing based on magnet program offerings or instructional needs would be where we would house all of the positions that may be approved by senior leadership for additional staff at the school related to magnet programs or other instructional needs. Matthew, can you go back to the presentation really quick? And then lastly, I just want to go over our next steps because the next steps will be will be inclusive of HR staff as well as other district leaders as well. We're continuing to conduct follow-up discussions as needed. That is really a lot of discussions that are going on. Allocation to staff to school locations based on the staffing model. We have worked closely with planning for that to get that true staffing, then projected enrollment so that we can have that. Continuing our staffing meetings with principals for the 26-27 school year. We are working on a district staffing model too to align with district level support with schools. So that is something that we're continuing to work with. And then this is the heavy is communicating with staff and principals when positions or assignments are impacted by the new model, because we know that there's going to be some impact there. And so as things come up over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will be engaging with individuals that are impacted by this. And we are working to make sure that any reductions are handled through attrition, because we do lose a large number of staff members throughout the course of the year. And then where we can't handle things through attrition, we will be working with staff to reassign them to locations that have appropriate budgeted positions that will be needed at that school location, as well as really focusing on trying to fill positions with internal postings versus external where possible. And then we'll implement and monitor for ongoing alignment as needed, and of course sharing updates with the board as we continue this work. And then just what this means for our students and our staff is more consistency, more consistent access to teachers and school counselors and support staff throughout the process, sets clear expectations to better align with the work in our schools, and a sustainable and transparent model that adapts as enrollment and needs change at the school. And that concludes this portion of it. And Dr. Moore, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Foster, for that clear and thorough update. Board members and to the public, as you heard, the school staffing model is designed to provide a fair, transparent, and sustainable way to align staffing and enrollment, poverty levels, and student needs across our schools. We understand that these changes are more than just numbers on slide. We understand that this is impacting our Richland 2 family. It is impacting people, which are teachers, our support staff, leaders, students, and families. But I want you to know that we are dedicated to handling this transition with care, open communication, and respect. Our primary goal is to achieve the necessary reductions through attrition whenever possible. Additional strategies to support these reductions may include reassignments to other budgeted positions and targeted hiring of internal candidates, planned and coordinated by our Human Resources Department with district leaders and principals. I want to thank our Human Resources Department, because they have been working tirelessly on this work. And they will handle most of the communications with staff whose positions or assignments might be affected. And our principals will receive clear talking points and tools for their school-based discussions. Please understand that ultimately, this work is about ensuring that similar schools receive similar staffing and that higher need schools receive additional support so that staffing aligns with student needs. At this time, Madam Chair, we are happy to answer any questions from board members.
Board members, Dr. Elkin Scott.
Yes. Thank you so much for the presentation. I do have two questions. One is, I know Dr. Moore mentioned that you guys are going to do targeted hiring. What does that mean?
I'm sorry, Dr. Scott.
Targeted hiring, what does that mean?
So, for example, what she was referring to is that if we get I'm trying to think what we currently have open. We currently have a student enrollment specialist, I think, or student enrollment specialist position open. Instead of opening it up for outside applicants to apply, we're purposely keeping it at internal posting because we should have plenty of staff that would be interested in that position. So we're saying that that is targeting only internal staff until not external.
Okay. I have a second question. Do you want to go to everyone else and then come back to me, or just? Go ahead. Okay. The second question, I know you gave an example of a position, and let's say school secretary, and at each school it had different days. I know with different days come different salary. So if we decide to go with one level, like if someone was working 145, 195, 210, if you change everything to like 160, what are we going to do with the salary of the person who was working for 195 days, because we know that salary is more? Are we going to allow them to keep that salary for a year, or are we going to disappoint them and say, I'm sorry, you just lost $10,000 a year? So if you can kind of explain how that works.
So one of the positions that I referenced in my discussion was the fee clerk, where we have fee clerks at 185, 195, 205, 215. Yes. So in our work, in talking with principals, where does the fee clerk, what's the schedule needs to be? Oh, we can make it work with 185. So that, for example, you are referencing a 215 person that would take a 25-day pay reduction. So what we would do first is we would ask that person if there's a possibility for another position that aligns with that 215, so that we're not reducing that person from that position. There's not been any decisions if we're going to hold harmless for a year. That's still something that Dr. Moore and senior leadership is still reviewing, but that it would be the other option. But first of all, we would, one, make the person aware that, this position next year will be a 185-day position. Here are the options that we have. We can look for another position that aligns with 215 days and your skill set and divert you to that position, or if Dr. Moore says that we're going to hold harmless for those positions, because that would be a reduction that they would be made aware of at this time. So that's still something that's up for discussion with Dr. Moore.
And what I would say is, if you guys get in a situation like that, I would like for you to also share that with the board, because if that occurs, then we're going to be the ones to get that telephone call to say, I've lost 5,000 or I lost 10,000. So I would ask that no decisions are made until you guys draft the report and come back to the board, to let the board also be a part of that. Because when we're talking about the finances of the district, that is the responsibility of the school board and not the HR or the superintendent. So it should come back to the board, because again, we will be the persons getting those phone calls saying, we've lost this money. So thank you for that. And I know you guys will make the right decision.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. As Dr. Foster said, we will follow district policy. And as we have been doing through this whole process, we've been bringing and updating the board. And so as we cross those bridges and address those issues, we will keep the board informed, but we will follow district policy.
Ms. Porter?
Yes, two things. First, I wanted to thank you for placing this on our agenda during this time. I think with outside new schools coming into the area, new options and choices, there's a lot of conversations happening, a lot of hearsay and so forth. And it was nice that when something came to me that was misinformation, that I was able to direct that person to our last meeting where we talked about that very topic, and it was very clear, and everyone was able to find the source and the truth, and versus what's been shared out in the public as misinformation. So thank you for this, and we're doing a great job because it's working and answering the questions that have definitely come to myself. Second, in your presentation, I noticed that you had the student activities director on there. Does that mean that they're not teaching a class and being the student activities director? I'm not sure.
So that is at the discretion of the principal. We allocate each school a student activities director, and then if they need a position, and Ralph, I'm actually, does your student activity director teach a class? They teach a leadership class, but it may vary at location from, at each location, but that position is primarily there to engage in the student activities, but they may have a course that they are teaching, an elective course that they're teaching.
Okay, that's something that's come up as a concern in that some schools had that position teaching a class and some did not, being that during the school day they were able to take care of different student activities and plan for them versus after school, and that adding time to their day of work.
Okay.
So just something to think about and review, and maybe even include them in that conversation, but I've heard that is something that's inconsistent from high school to high school.
Okay, we'll engage the high school principals in that discussion.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Oh, Mr. Dennis?
All right, so thank you for the presentation. Yeah, Dr. Scott hit on what I was wanting to talk about the jobs and taking the pay cuts and things like that, because that's my concerns, our employees. I don't want to have to cut people that are currently employed, but I think also this is going to hurt us, and what I mean by that is having to make cuts. We're going to lose a lot of good people that we've worked hard and paid to get in the past. I'm not saying that it's happening, because it's got to come back to the board for us to vote on. We got to look at this in depth, but what I am noticing in every one of these when I get something, I'm noticing how certain schools do things way different than another school with different positions, with the same amount of students. And I know each school's got their own thing of students, but I'm noticing a big huge inconsistency with positions from school to school. So is there a way for us to get a list of the positions at the schools that we got now? Because I know this looks good, but it's hard for me to sit here and hear this, but I have no clue what we're losing through the schools. It's a great, but I don't know what's happening at.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Porter?
I'm sorry, but I think there was the draft model that was on there. It highlighted every single position and how many at each school. I believe they were moving towards that direction to prevent those inconsistencies. So there's a spreadsheet within his presentation that says draft model. And it's the one that was hard to see in the presentation, but it tells you exactly all the positions, how many, and so forth based on PIP, pupils in poverty. Yep, it's a hyperlink.
But it wasn't specific to schools, because I know different schools have different positions. So when I looked at it, I know that certain schools have more RTI. I know certain schools have more teachers based off, and believe it or not, some of them have the same amount of kids as students, but they got more positions. So I'm wanting to see what we're losing in what areas, to kind of look at the data and see what's working and what's not. That's kind of what I'm hitting at.
Yes, sir. And what you're referencing is what we've been encountering as well. So, for example, you talked about RTI assistance. That is one area where a school may have one and a school may have 5. And how they manage that, it's different. So what we're trying to do and what you'll see on the staffing sheet that we shared, and we can share those once we finalize them, because that will help you. One, we're bringing all positions into a consistent title so that one school may call it, this is an instructional assistant just for RTI, or this is an RTI assistant, this is an RTI interventionist. Titles are very loose. And so we're trying to shore up titles so that we have consistency. And that's what we've been doing. We meet with principals, and we've met with them for the current state meetings as well as the future state meetings. And so the sheet that we share with you that we're going to be utilizing will have on there the positions that they had for 25, 26, and then what they're having for 26, 27, and if there was a reduction or an increase that will help you be able to see. We can share that with you, a master sheet that shows you what the difference is by schools. That we can share that with you, but please note that we have still meeting with principals, and we have not finalized all those sheets because we have to have 39 sheets for each school, plus one for general and one for special. So once we get those finalized, we'll be happy to share with the board that here's what we had for 25, 26, here's what we're gonna have for 26, 27, and the deviations, the differences there. If that's what you're referencing. And
that's what I'm referencing, because when I go into schools and look at them and talk to the principals, I'm all, how many teachers you got here, how many teachers you got there, and I'm mentally making notes and things like that, but I don't see it. But this will help me see what I need to see and referencing it back and forth.
As Dr. Moore, when she gives us the go-ahead for that, we will definitely be glad to share with that once we get it compiled, because it will share with you, and that was why the example, it will share with you the differences at the schools.
Yeah, okay, so Ms. Porter and then Ms. Williams.
Yeah, I just want to state that we need to be careful with that type of information. And I'm not sure if that's something, well, I know I don't want that information because there are some of these conversations that our employees have not had with their direct supervisor yet. And there's a certain way that HR handles those conversations, and you would not want someone to hear something from another party before getting it from the right person. It could cause a lot of confusion. That was what I was saying about that. What had come to me before the last meeting, and I was able to direct them to this meeting to get information, because still yet what you provide to us may change, as per Dr. Moore's statement at our last meeting, saying that we won't know our numbers until 10 days after the start of school in some situations. And I just get worried about some of those informations causing people to be concerned and panic when there may not be a need for it. So just be careful with, especially when you're sending stuff via email and so forth to elected officials. Some information just shouldn't be in our hands due to the sensitivity of it. That's just my concern.
Ms. Williams?
And I think another part that I was thinking about is, I know that we have like our Title I schools. And so there will be a discrepancy because principals are able to hire additional interventionists, and it's not necessarily like a FTE that you all provided to them. So, but the basis, the basis would be on the formula that this is what everybody has, and then based on additional funds from Title I or whatever grants that they might have received, they're able to do that. So it won't necessarily, I'm thinking, if I'm thinking correctly, it won't be reflected as a way like a loss, because a principal can keep that position even though, because it was done through Title I and it was not necessarily done with.
Yes, Ms. Williams, that is correct. And so on the staffing sheet, you will see at the bottom, any positions that are outside of the staffing model will be listed there so that we can keep track if it's paid for by Title I or other grant funding, as well as if it was a deviation that was approved by Dr. Moore and administration, that would be there so we can keep track of those. It would not be included in our formula-based sheet that's at the top.
But Ms. Williams, those positions would be temporary for that year. As it is with any grant-funded position, they are always based upon a year-to-year contract because of the grant. And it is communicated to the employee that is the case.
Okay. All right, we will now move on to, oh, thank you so much. Oh, did you say so? Okay, sorry. Thank you. All right, we're going to move now on to item 10.0, Superintendent's Report, Remaining Competitive. Dr. Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As requested by the board, we have worked on answering that question, how is Richland 2 remaining competitive? So as you will see in this presentation, in the overview, oh, you bringing me a clicker, Mike? I don't have a clicker. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you. What we're going to talk about tonight is how Richland 2 is remaining competitive and what is our value add. That's what's important to us right now. We want to make sure that our families and our communities understand that we are not reacting to competition. We embrace competition. In fact, Richland 2 has been a choice district before choice was a popular word. So we are not afraid of competition because we are leading with clarity, credibility, and connection. So how is Richland 2 going to remain competitive? Well, we have a wonderful video to show you as a part of our presentation.
In every community, there is a place where their future begins. In Richland School District 2, that future is shaped every day. More than 28,000 students, more than 4,000 dedicated professionals, one shared responsibility, high expectations, real challenges, an unwavering commitment to excellence. Every decision matters. Every moment counts. This is more than a school district. It is a promise to the students, to the families, and to our community. Richland School District 2. The story is still being written.
So board members, as we heard during the inspirational moment, we're celebrating 100 years of excellence. Our story is not complete. Our story is actually just beginning. We have to always consider our why. Why is each one of us sitting up here on this day as today? Well, that's because we serve nearly 29,000 scholars, 29,000 children of parents who have entrusted them to us. It is not just a responsibility, it is a rare and meaningful privilege to educate students. And each number represents a life with potential, a family with hopes and future still being written. Every day through our decisions, our leadership, and our commitment to excellence, we influence far more than schedules and systems. We influence confidence, character, and opportunity. And we are uniquely positioned to shape and mold the next generation. The environments that we create, the expectations that we set, and the care that we show directly impacts how our students see themselves and what they believe is possible. Long after lessons are forgotten, the support, the stability, the belief we provide will remain. And that's the weight and the gift of this work. We are not simply managing schools, we are shaping futures, strengthening communities, and helping build the leaders, thinkers, and citizens of our world, which will depend on this generation of students we are educating. There are no other roles that offer that kind of impact that we get to do every single day. So, what do we bring to the table? Relationships matter. We are a collaborative district which starts with our school board. Through our partnership, we create the vision for our students and we set the conditions for success for students. We actively collaborate with industry and community organizations to expand opportunities for students and staff. And these partnerships create real-world learning experiences and strengthen workforce readiness. We are the workforce developers for Columbia, South Carolina, as well as the United States of America and the world. We are not just taking advantage of our community and business partners. We are committed to contributing. Our partnerships entitle us to create those rich learning environments for our students. Partnerships like with the University of South Carolina and Midlands Technical College, which give our students access to higher education prior to graduating from high school. This saves families money and puts students on the road to successful completion of their college degrees. And so, in fact, I know the board is fully aware of this, but everybody in the audience may not be. We have students that participate in our AVID Early College program. They earn their associate degree at the same time as they earn their diplomas. I met with a student yesterday who is an early graduate. She is 16 years old and graduating from Ridgeview High School this year as an early graduate. We are so proud of the work that our teachers and that our students are doing every single day, because with every graduate, that is another person that will be contributing to our community. We also graduate students with certifications that allow them to go right into the workforce in medical, fire science, cosmetology fields, just to name a few, as well as the military. In Richland, too, we always discuss the 4 E's of employment, enrollment, enlistment, and entrepreneurship. We are purpose-driven and future-ready because we focus on high-quality teaching, data-informed decision-making, and continuous improvement. Our schools prioritize rigor, relevance, and student growth, ensuring learning is not just compliant, but impactful. And each student is different, and we recognize that and we honor that by developing unique programs to meet the needs of our students, from breakfast to academic support and interventions to after-school care to the best in advanced placement, world-class ROTC programs, career and technical education, and dual enrollment. Through these programs, we ensure that each student will be successful, whatever their chosen path is. It's not only for our students, but it helps make sure that we have the workforce necessary in our community for our business partners. We recognize that teaching is hard. Our students deserve great teachers, so we are committed not only to finding the best teachers, but ensuring that we support their development with individualized coaching and support. So I want everybody to know that in Richland, too, we are growing all the time, from students to teachers to our schools and district leaders. In a changing world, an ability to learn and adapt to critical thinking and continuous improvement and making an impact not just here and now, but for the future. In addition to that, we emphasize that athletics are not just about wins. They're about teaching perseverance, teamwork, discipline, respect, and leadership. We have intentionally invested in quality athletic facilities as a part of the overall education mission. The intent is that athletics reinforces teamwork, discipline, and resilience. Facilities support both competition and skill development across sports. Our district features world-class facilities, including football stadiums with accompanying practice and multi-purpose fields, baseball and softball diamonds, soccer, lacrosse fields, standard track and field layouts, tennis courts, and gymnasiums for basketball, volleyball, and indoor training. These facilities make it possible for our students to participate in a wide range of sports, including but not limited to football, basketball, soccer, baseball, softball, track and field, tennis, volleyball, wrestling, lacrosse, swimming, golf, and cheerleading. Richland 2's middle schools are also offering world-class athletics in our fields and gyms, which is the foundation for the sports that the students will engage in at the high school level. Now, we have a very rich history of success, from state championships to regional competitiveness across most of our sports. But I want you to understand that Richland 2 doesn't just offer sports. It actively builds infrastructure and programming to create real opportunities for student growth. It also helps us with our community engagement. Our facilities are modern, purpose-built, programs are broad and competitive, and the district treats athletes and athletics as a strategic asset. One of the things that's going on right now is the Winter Olympics. I'm a huge Olympics fan, but each one of those athletes started in a K-12 system. And that is what we offer to our students. In addition to athletics, we not only embrace, but we celebrate the arts. We treat arts education as a core part of a well-rounded, future-ready education, not an add-on. I don't know if most people realize this, but about 81% of our students participate in arts programs across the district, showing broad engagement and value placed on creative learning. Visual and performing arts courses are offered systematically from elementary through high school, aligned to South Carolina state standards. Course options include band, orchestra, chorus, theater, dance, visual arts, digital media, and more. Students can pursue these electives in many deeper ways through the pathways that we offer. For example, the Palmetto Center for the Arts at Richland Northeast High School is a nationally recognized visual art performing arts magnet, meaning it is competitive, comprehensive, and tailored for students serious about the arts. PCA offers visual arts, dance, theater, and music. It's not just about the plays and the art class. It is a conservatory-styled environment that prepares students for competitive arts colleges and real-world creative careers. Our students leave there going to the top art schools across the nation, to include Juilliard. Of course, we have our Performing Arts Center, which is a state-of-the-art facility, but we also partner with people like the Tri-District Arts Consortium, which is a competitive summer program hosted in Richland 2 for rising middle school artists, where students get immersed in hands-on instruction with guest artists and field experiences. So in short, Richland 2 is building creativity, cultural literacy, and real-world artistic skills into students' educational journeys. It is not about just checking the box for fine arts. It's about equipping our students with the skills that they will need to be successful in the careers that they have chosen. Let's talk about our operations and facilities, because we have unmatched facilities as the 5th largest school district in South Carolina. Our district has almost 6 million square feet of facilities, and our operations team not only maintains these sites, but is constantly improving and expanding to meet the needs of our students. Over 10 facilities have received and been recognized in the last 5 years. This year, we have 4 ongoing major renovations to improve the experiences at Westwood High School, Dent Middle School, as well as Windsor Elementary and Lonnie B. Nelson Elementary Schools. Each of our high schools have received new video boards as a part of their stadiums, and at Ridgeview High School, we have completed installation of a new track and turf in their stadium that rivals many collegiate facilities. In fact, Board, I know you're aware of this, we've had colleges enter into agreements to use our facilities for their athletic events, because we have world-class facilities in our school district. We've also continued to improve our identification cards, access points at our schools, and we have employed and use an integrated crisis alert system for all employees. So safety screening stations at our high schools, combined with the work that we're doing, we take safety and security very important in our district. We use pop-up safety screenings for our middle schools to ensure that the learning environment is safe and one in which students can excel. Also, to be future ready, we have completed the purchase of property on Spears Church Creek Road to facilitate future expansion and have started our facility study to inform future decisions. As I stated earlier, we are a choice district. We've been a choice district for years. Families choose Richland 2 because of the breadth and the opportunities that we offer. We offer more than education. We deliver opportunity, stability, and results steeped in career and technical education, advanced academics and dual enrollment, fine arts, athletics, extracurriculars, and we provide support services that meet the whole child's needs. So we celebrate and emphasize choice because each student and each family is different. We also recognize the need for mental health and family support, and we work to put those supports in place with school counselors, social workers, behavioral health interventionists, and nurses in addition to school staff, not just because it helps our students be successful, but because we want to be there for every family and provide support as partners in their educational journey. Our goal is to make sure we are preparing our students not only to graduate, but to compete, contribute, and lead in a rapidly changing world. Richland 2 delivers a strong academic foundation enhanced by comprehensive wraparound supports that are rarely found elsewhere. And our robust programs ensure that every student has the resources, opportunities, and expectations needed to succeed. Whether their future pursuits includes higher education, entrepreneurship, enlistment, we are here to support. Because in Richland 2, we are here to serve the entire child. So with that, Madam Chair, I will open it up for any discussion.
Okay, board members, do you have any comments or anything? I would like to say I don't see Mr. Tony over there, but to the award-winning Mr. Tony Tone, as I like to call him, the voice of Richland 2, thank you for that moderation on the video, narration on the video. That was great. All right. Well, looks like we will be moving on to item 11.0, agenda items for the next meeting. And so you guys, for February 24th, it's a regularly scheduled board meeting day. However, to provide just the board time with space and open dialogue, and just also it's kind of a preview of what we would be doing. I propose abbreviated regular meeting with a work session right after. And so both of those agendas are going to be presented by Dr. Moore for us to review. Dr. Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our next regularly scheduled board meeting is February the 24th, 2026. Where's the year going? We will start with the call to order at 5:30 p.m., followed by the welcome and pledge of allegiance. Next, we will move to approval of the agenda, followed by executive session. In executive session, we would have student appeals, student admission requests into the district's adult education program, employment recommendations and certified releases, receipt of legal advice regarding board governance, and public session will resume following executive session. We will then move to consent agenda, approval of the consent agenda, which will include approval of minutes for the previous meeting, classified employment releases, and in-district transfers, and local board-approved courses. Next, we will have our public participation, followed by voting on executive session items, which would include student appeals, student admission requests into the district's adult education program, employment recommendations and certified releases, and as needed for items discussed in executive session. Next, we would have unfinished business action requested, policy revision approval for policy BE, board meetings, followed by reviewing the draft agenda for the March 10th, 2026 regularly scheduled board meeting, which will be our next scheduled board meeting, followed by the as needed items of, if needed, items of public participation, executive session, voting on executive session, and adjournment. Once that meeting concludes, the board would then transition into a work session. The work session would start with a call to order, approval of the agenda, and new business, no action requested. The board will receive board member ethics training, an update on the Alternative Pathways Committee and discussion, second quarter financial report, and the 2026-2027 budget survey results and discussion, followed by adjournment.
Okay, is there anything anybody would like to add for this or make revisions to this, those agendas or future agendas? And if you can't think of it now, of course, email me as well. And then so you guys know, the board ethics training should only last like about an hour, hour and 15 minutes, because it's coming up to our big ethics report. So we'll get some information on that. So of course, bring all your questions for that. And the financial report will be presented, like Dr. Moore said, and then the budget survey results, which I'm really excited to see that as well. So, all right, now we will move on to, board and superintendent comments. Okay, we're going to start with Ms. Porter.
I didn't really have much. I was looking for something that I had written down and I couldn't find it. But I wanted to first say thank you for the inspirational moment. Excited about 100 years. And also thank you for the information that was provided today. What I had planned escaped me and I had it written down, so I'm sorry. But have a good evening.
Okay, Mr. Trapp.
Thank you. I just wanted to share one thing. I've had the opportunity over the last month to visit schools and some things like that I really enjoyed. But one thing that has concerned me recently with all this cold weather, there's been a lot of people, a lot of opinionated people that have criticized some of the decisions the district has made. And I want to share some observations. When it comes to our school buses, we have got to ensure that they operate on safe streets. On Sunday, now I'm one of these people that goes out in the snow, okay? I'm not going to apologize. It's what I do. I will say that I go from my house on the county line to QT on Highway 21 and turn around there and go back. They have excellent soft drinks. Anyway, I went out Sunday morning, 9 a.m., and I was somewhat concerned and surprised that every street and road in the Blythewood area where I live was completely packed with snow. Okay, so that was Sunday. Monday, I went out at about 11 a.m., and the roads were still really bad. I was very relieved that we didn't have our buses out. And one of the things I did is I actually went on some of the back roads where I live, and it was one road in particular. I had wondered if our buses would go down it, and as I went up the hill and around the ice-covered curve, I saw the school bus stop ahead sign, so that answered my question about it being a route, and was relieved that nobody was going to drive on that. Tuesday morning at 7:36, I went out, and that road was still quite unsafe for really anything, but especially for a top-heavy, very light, large school bus with street tires on it. So my point to that is, our district did the right thing in not having our buses on the road until Wednesday, and it's not because we don't want to have our children in the schools, in our warm, comfortable schools with teachers in front of them, with cafeterias and things. It's simply because, for whatever reason, in this area at this point in time, no one really takes any effort to clear the roads of ice and snow. I observed that nothing that I saw was plowed at any given time. The interstate, I'm assuming, eventually was, but as of Sunday morning, it had not been plowed. So I don't know why we don't do that anymore, but until something like that changes, until some effort is taken to make the streets safe, all we really can do is stay at home. In fact, I noticed the authorities, we watched a lot of TV while the snow was on the ground, and the authorities constantly said, stay off the roads, stay off the roads. Well, the roads are there for us to use, and I would hate to think if the emergency vehicles, the sheriff's department, they wouldn't been able to travel around any better than the rest of us. So anyway, I find that unacceptable, but that's really irrelevant. But I just want to let the community know that it may look nice in your subdivision where you are, and the reason for that is out where I live, there's a lot of trees on the side of the road, and the shade keeps the snow on the road, keeps the ice on the road. So please keep in mind, I really think we're doing the right thing when we go to e-learning. I think it's a great blessing to have e-learning and allow us to continue our education. I know there are parents that are greatly inconvenienced, and I don't say that lightly. I know there are people that are financially impacted by this because you have to take time off work and stay home with your children, and I know that's not a good thing. And we do understand that, and we're doing all we can, but I just want to share that with the community. Thanks.
Yes, and thank you for your video that you had. I had to go out, and and you're right about the shaded areas, and there were people in ditches all the way up until Wednesday. Yes. So, okay, Mr. Dennis.
All right, real quick. So I want to say that Richland 2 is a family, and at times of educational uncertainties that we've faced with money and all that, we just need to look after our family members. So we're going to do everything we can for that. And I want to say, Dr. Riley, amazing job on what you've done. I am a huge history buff, and when I was at that little red schoolhouse looking at all the history there, I was thoroughly impressed. Y'all knocked it out of the park. You killed it. So thank you. And just want to take a little thing because I'm here tonight, so I'm not actually with my son. So they have a scrimmage game tonight, Spring Valley JV baseball. So I didn't get to see him dress out tonight. So I just want to wish that team luck tonight. Proud of you, boy.
Ms. Williams.
I'm gonna keep it short this evening, but I want to again, same sentiments as everyone. Again, thank you, Dr. Rowley, for capturing the history of Richland School District 2 in 100 years. You make it seem so effortlessly in the amazing work that you all are doing and the department as well for communications. And I just want to say happy Black History Month to everyone. And thank you. Have a great evening.
Dr. Elkin Scott, I see you got on something designer, so.
I
And
do.
here she is, Dr. Elkin Scott.
Absolutely. I will get there in just a second. But first, I want to say, not sure if you guys are aware, but Dr. Sean Suber lost his mom. So I want to let you know that we are sending you our prayers and our condolences. And I'll speak for myself. If there's anything that I can do, please reach out to us. I can't say I know how you feel because my mom is still around, but I can say I know the love that you have for your mother and the love that your mother had for you. So if there's anything that I can do, please reach out to me. And again, my prayers are with you and your family. Then I'm going to go to Dr. Riley. I thought I really was going to have to really beg and plead with Dr. Riley to do this because she's a person who loves to be behind the scenes. She doesn't like the spotlight, but she's so great when she gets the spotlight. So I want to say thank you, Dr. Riley, for coming and giving that presentation of 100 years in Richland 2. You did a phenomenal job. So thank you so much for that. And then last week, it was National School Counseling Week. So I want to say happy National School Counseling Week to all of our fabulous counselors out there. I always tell people, you are the backbone of our students. So thank you for the lifeline that you give to all of the students. And we know that this month is Black History Month. I would say to my people, remember, we can celebrate each and every day. We don't have to wait for a particular month to celebrate us and our rich heritage. So happy Black History Month. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap up. As you see, I have on my Army shirt. So I knew I was gonna get that. So I am so excited to represent Ridgeview High School. Ridgeview High School, under the outstanding leadership of Dr. Brenda Mack Foxworth and the exceptional leadership with Captain Christopher Robinson and First Sergeant Key. Ridgeview High School Army ROTC, known as the Blazer Battalion, is one of Richland's 2 premier leadership programs, serving 147 cadets enrolled during the school year. The program has earned the prestigious Honor Unit with distinction designations reflecting excellence in instruction, cadet performance, and overall program management. In the classroom, cadets receive structure, progressive instructions designed to build confident leaders through subjects such as physical readiness, training, PRT, decision-making, team building, personal growth, and behaviors, plus service learning, all of which emphasize discipline, accountability, and character development. Beyond the classroom, Blazer Battalion cadets are deeply engaged in supporting both Ridgeview High School and the surrounding community. Cadets routinely participate in meaningful service and events including Wreaths Across America, Special Olympics, and the annual Veterans Day breakfast, honoring those who have served while giving back through hands-on leadership. Ridgeview High School, JROTC, also distinguishes itself through robust co-curriculum opportunities that allow cadets to apply leadership skills in competitive settings. The archery team and drone team provides pathways for cadets to develop focus, precision, teamwork, and technical proficiency. Both programs compete at the national level. Together, strong classroom instruction, community service, and elite competitive teams make the Blazer Battalion a cornerstone of leadership, citizenship, and excellence at Ridgeview High School. And my father also was military Army, so I'm representing 2 times. Thank you guys so much for your time, and have a wonderful week.
Okay, I want to say thank you to wait, I'm so sorry, I forgot. It's Dr. Moore's turn. Let me do it right. Dr. Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I'd like to begin my comments tonight by extending a sincere gratitude to Governor McMaster and First Lady Peggy for hosting superintendents from across South Carolina at the governor's mansion earlier this week. It had wonderful food and very good lemonade. It was an honor to hear firsthand the governor's ongoing plan to encourage lawmakers to find a way for all students in our state to enjoy a free breakfast each school day. And that kind of focus on student well-being is exactly the collaborative leadership our children deserve. So thank you to the governor and the First Lady. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge that last Tuesday, when the winter weather led us to an e-learning and remote workday, snow always causes a few curveballs for us. And at this time, a little warmer weather definitely helped to do some of the heavy lifting and melting the snow for us. So while Mother Nature turned up the thermostat to start the melting process, our teams did the real work. Across the district, our operations staff were out surveying road conditions, checking campuses, and making sure our schools were safe and ready to welcome students and staff back as soon as possible. Their planning, teamwork, and attention to safety made all the difference, and I am incredibly grateful for their dedication. It is a great reminder that when conditions change, Richland too is ready. We're thankful that the next weather system headed our way this weekend is expected to only bring rain. And that means we may finally have a break in the streak of weekends of inclement weather, winter weather. And I want to thank our 2 unofficial members of our safety team, Mr. Dennis and Mr. Trapp, who were both out on the roads and sending me photos of the conditions. Thank you for your support. Now, speaking of this weekend, as we look ahead to Valentine's Day next weekend, I want to take a moment to remind our parents and our caregivers that while we celebrate love for our children, our school environments focus on learning, parents. For the safety and comfort of all students, we ask that parents please refrain from sending delivery items like flowers and balloons and edible gifts and other treats to students during the school day. It really does create a disruption, and we want to make sure that we keep our classrooms running smoothly and minimize classroom discussions. Parents, you can give your kids all of those wonderful treats when they get home. Thank you. And last but not least, I want to share a quick reminder that our annual retiree luncheon is tomorrow. Now, this is one of our most meaningful traditions each year. It's a time to pause and say thank you to those who helped make Richland 2 the incredible district it is today, the strong district it has been, and the district of excellence it will continue to be. At the retirees luncheon last year is where I recruited the current interim principal of Blythewood High School. Mr. Ralph Schmidt stood up and said, "We need to be here for the children." And I reminded him, I needed him to be here for the children. So thank you, Ralph. I'm looking forward to you recruiting some more people if we need them tomorrow at the luncheon. So I am grateful for the legacy, the leadership, and the heart of our retirees. They have poured into our community, and we look forward to celebrating them and their lasting impact. And I'll close with this. Black history is America's history. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, yeah, I know where I was. I left off. Okay, Dr. Riley, thank you so much for the centennial celebration. I do have one request. Those scissors, can I get a pair of those big scissors? No? Anybody? No? Okay. Well, they were so great. Those are amazing. Okay, well, if I don't get to have the big scissors, at least I'll have the memory of them. Human resources, thank you so much for all the hard work y'all are doing. We know, we really appreciate it. We know it's not easy, the work that y'all are doing, but we appreciate it. And you know I love a good system, so I appreciate it. And then Ms. Washington isn't here, and so it's her birthday. They were just reminding me that it's her birthday, and so we want to wish her a happy birthday where she is, and maybe we can get her a cupcake when she comes back. And then lastly, we didn't really do board comments right after our Board Appreciation Month, so I want to say thank you to everybody who gave us, all the gifts, the dinner, everything, and then the notes. The notes were absolutely phenomenal, and I got home and I started reading with the snacks that we were given. That was probably a bad idea when I looked at the scale 2 days later. But one of the notes was particularly funny because it was addressed to me, and it said, "Miss Nash, don't retire." And I was like, who's been talking to them? Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you. They were very encouraging, and so please let all the students know that we really, really appreciate it, and all the faculty and staff. We had a great Board Appreciation Month. I think I can say everybody felt that way, and we just enjoy what we do. So even when it's hard, thank y'all so much. And if there is no other business, what do I say? What is it? Yes, we're adjourned. Have a great night, everybody.